titled Connecting Slope Ratios in Specific Angles or two specific angles. We're going to be covering pages 20 to 21 and answering the question, how important is the angle? So for question number 78, it says, what do you know about this triangle? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write, I know, and then you're going to answer whatever you know about this triangle to the right. You know a couple things. You know that angle is 11 degrees. This side is 20. There's even a little box here that means it's 90 degrees. And there's a y over here. So we're actually going to take the slope ratio that we found on page 17 for an 11 degree angle, which said that the slope ratio was 1 to 5. That means that this slope ratio for this triangle is going to be 4 to 20 because 5 goes into 20 4 times. That means the side over here for y is going to be equal to 4. Any questions on problem 78? So we're about to see a few more of those, okay? So for question number 79, says, for each triangle below, determine the missing angle measure or side length. Use your work from lesson 321 to help you, okay? So for part A, we have an angle measure in here. Let me make it just a little bit bigger. Wrong way. There we go. We have an angle measure in here of 22. If we had the 11, like we just saw in problem 78, 22 is double, okay? So instead of 1/5, we're going to use 2/5 because we're going to double it. We're going to multiply by 2, okay? So our slope ratio is going to be 2/5. We know this side is 25. We want to solve for this side over here. So we're going to set up our proportion as 2/5 equal to x over 25. Once you have your proportion, you can do the cross product. That means you multiply diagonally. So we're going to multiply 5 times x to get 5x. We're going to multiply 2 times 25 to get 50. And then the inverse operation of multiplying by 5 is dividing both sides by 5, and 5 goes into 50 10 times. So that side over there is 10. Any questions on problem A? Okay, let me show you B. All right, so over on the right we have problem B. This one's 11, just like question 78 was. So the sides should be in the ratio of 1 to 5. Okay? So we have 100 is the opposite over this side that we want to figure out what it is. So I'm going to call it x. That sets up our proportion. So we do our cross product. Cross product means we're going to multiply diagonally. 1 times x is 1x. 5 times 100 is 500. So our x is 500. Any questions on part B? Good so far? Okay. Question C. All right. So for C, we have this triangle over here, and we have obviously our little box. If this angle is 45, then this angle is going to be 45 as well, because 45 plus 45 is what? 90. So these two add to 90 plus this 90 makes it 180. So whenever you have a 45 and a 90 in a triangle, the other one has to be 45. So whatever one side is, the other side has to be the same. So if this side is 13, then A has to be 13 as well. Okay? called a 45-45-90 triangle. Any questions on C? All right, let's look at D. D is the backwards of C because the two sides are the same. Here's a 4 and here's a 4. That means these two angles have to be the same. So angle theta, remember this is one of the Greek alphabet letters we learned yesterday. Our angle is 45 degrees. What's this angle over here going to be? 45, yeah. Any questions on D? All right, let's look at E. All right, so for E, we have a side of 20 and a side of 50. So I made it into a ratio of 20/50, and I saw that could easily reduce to 2/5. We saw 2/5 up back here in problem A, right? 2/5 was when we had a what degree angle? 22-degree angle. So that's what this angle right here has to be 22 degrees. If I'd have gotten 1/5, it would be what? 11, right? Okay. Any questions on E? All right, let's look at F. F is a little bit tricky because it has a 79-degree angle. So we actually want to take the 79 and subtract it from 90, and we get our 11. So this little angle up in here, this really small one, is 11 degrees, which means our sides should be in the ratio of 1 to 5. But we're going to flip it over, do what's called take its reciprocal of 5 to 1 instead of 1 to 5. And then our sides are going to be B to 7. This side over here, there's our proportion. We're going to do our cross product. 1 times B is 1B. 5 times 7 is 35. Any questions on part F? All right, awesome. Question 80 says, Sheila says the triangle in part F of problem 379 is the same as her drawing it right. Do you agree that this problem is the same as it is at right? Yes. It's going to be the same. All you have to do is rotate that triangle. Let me shrink it just a tad. Wrong way. There it is. Okay. Rotate it or redraw it. That 11 is going to match up to that one. The 79 is going to match up to that one. The 90 is going to match up to that one. Okay? Use what you know about the slope ratio of 11 degrees to determine the slope ratio for 79. We already did it. We said it was 5 to 1 instead of 1 to 5 because we used 79 instead of 11. And then question C says, what is the relationship of 11 degrees and 79 degrees? And what is the relationship between their slope ratios? The relationship between their angle measures is that they are complementary. If you subtract 11 from 90 degrees, you're going to get 79 degrees. And the relationship between their slope ratios is that they are reciprocals, 1/5 and 5/1. Some students like to call that flipping, okay? But the fancy math word is reciprocals, okay? Any questions on 80? Okay, flip over to the top of page 21. For question 82, it says trigonometry table graphic organizer. So far, you have looked at several similar slope triangles and their corresponding slope ratios. These relationships will be very useful for determining missing side lengths or angle measures of right triangles for the rest of this chapter. Before you forget this valuable information, organize information about the triangles and ratios you have discovered so far in the table below. Keep it in a safe place well, it's going to be in your packet for future reference, include all of the angles you have studied to this point. As an example, for 11% is filled in the table graphic organizer you started. Okay? So in your groups of 4, you're going to fill in the ones that are highlighted. So if you have a highlighter, go ahead and highlight them. If you don't have a highlighter, maybe put a star by them. The 0 degrees, 11 degrees is done for you, so you can see an example. They did the side ratio of 1 to 5. Then they just divided it on their calculator. So let me show. 1 divided by 5 gets you the 0.2 for right there. You guys can also do 22, because that's double that. You guys can do the 45s. We did one of those on the previous page. 55, that's a little bit tricky, but you got it. And we also did a 79. Okay, so highlight the ones that you can do for now. And then we'll finish this page up